my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here, and today we find ourselves at the horse races. You'll be buying horses, placing bets, influencing race movement, and utilizing special abilities. Will you play it safe or risk it big on a long shot? Because the one with the most money in the end wins. Long shot, the dice game is for 1 to 8 players, plays in 25 minutes, is for ages 14 and up, and published by Perplexed. Now it's on Kickstarter right now, so I'm going to show you how the game works, and I'll see you on the other side. This is a Kickstarter preview, so all the art and components you see here are not final. You're going to want to check the Kickstarter link in the description of this video to see all the final art and components. Now these horses are going to start 1 through 8 on the track, and over the course of the game they're going to be racing around the track, and then eventually you'll have 3 horses that have passed in 1st, 2nd, and 3rd place. So let me show you what you're trying to do in the end, which is have the most money. So let's say at the end of the race, this is how it ended. Horse number 1 was in 1st place, horse number 5 was in 2nd place, and horse number 4 was in 3rd place, and you'll see dollar amounts that the owners of these horses are going to get. Now over the course of the game, you'll be buying horses, placing bets, influencing race movement, and utilizing special abilities. So let's just say this was our own board. At the end of the game, every player gets their own dry erase board and their own dry erase marker that they'll be using to fill in their board. And let's just say this is how the game ended. We showed you the horses, and let's just say we owned this horse number 4. So at the end of the game, we look at who has the most money. And we first look at the purses. We look at all these. I have owned this horse, and so I will get 15, so I'd get 15 for that. You'd get the dollar amount of a horse that you owned if it came in 1st, 2nd, or 3rd for the purse. Also, you'll get $5 for any horse you have both the helmet and the jersey of. So we come over here and we see a helmet, and here we have a jersey. I have 2 horses that I have both of those, so that's a total of $10. Then we'll look at all the bets, and our bets equal up to $80. The way the bets work is, over the course of the game, you're making dollar bets, and those are put here on the different horses numbered 1 through 8. Now, depending on the place of what those horses are, you will get a certain amount of money. For example, the orange number 7 came in 1st place. So we look at 1st place and we look at a multiplier, 9. I had bet $6 multiplied by 9 is 54. I did not bet on the 2nd horse, which was the number 5 green, so I got nothing there. The 3rd one here is number 4, and we go here, I bet $5 and it came in 3rd place, so 5 times 4 is 20. And I also bet on number 1. Now number 1 didn't come in 1st, 2nd, or 3rd, but I do get a dollar payout because at the end of the race, this number 1 was past this red line. Normally you cannot bet on a horse that's past this line. We'll show you how to break that rule later. But anybody that bet on horses that end up between here and here will get $1 for each of those bets. So that total 80 comes here. We have $4 left over. This is our spending money. So we add all this up and I ended with $109. That's what you're trying to do, is own horses that win, bet on horses, and other things like this. Now at the beginning of the game, all the horses are gonna line up just like this. At the beginning of the game, everybody will start with $12, plus players will start with some bets and some parts marked off in this concession stands. We'll tell you how this works later, but everyone will have sort of an asymmetrical setup, so we already know at the beginning of the game, I'm gonna be trying to influence the race for the horse number 2 and 7 because I already have bets for those. Now turns are very simple. On a player's turn, they are going to roll both dice. This tells you which horse moves, and this tells you how much. So this is the purple horse number 8 is going to move 3. So simply we will just go 1, 2, 3. Now that purple horse is in the lead. Now you'll also see that there's cards for each of these horses, and we look at that horse that just moved, and we'll look down here and see if there's any other X's. Some of them start with more than others. This one has 2, this one has 1. So what this means, since this was the horse that moved, we look here and we see that horse 2 and horse 4 are going to move, but they only move 1. Anytime you move a horse based on this secondary movement, they just move 1. So at this point, the race looks just like this. Then starting with the active player, the one that rolled the dice, and moving clockwise, each player is going to get 1 action, and here it shows you all the different actions that you can do. Essentially, there are 5 possibilities. Now, one of the things you can do is bet. Now, what you could do is you can bet up to 3, so 1, 2, or $3 on a horse that was the one that was rolled this round. So if I wanted to, I could bet 1, 2, or 3 on this purple horse, and I don't yet have a bet there, so I'll just place them there. Let's just say I wanted to bet $3. So in this case, I wrote $3 here, and I subtracted it from our amount that was 12, and now we have 9. Now I told you at the end, if this horse comes in first, second, or third, it's going to be a multiplier times whatever we bet. And you'll notice that the odds are, you get more and more the higher the number of the horse. So up here, they're more long shots than the bottom ones there. And at this point, it would just be the next player's turn clockwise, and all players would take these turns until everyone had taken one action. Then you would pass these dice to the next player clockwise. They'd be the active player, and you'd continue rounds like this. So I'm going to go through some of the other actions you can take. Let's say it's our turn again, and this is what was rolled. You can go to the concessions. So simply, you would mark this. This is the 4, so we could mark it just like this. Now let's say it was a future turn, and we have this green 5. I'm going to show you what the concessions do. Anytime you fill in a row or a column, meaning you complete it, you get to mark off any of these extra value abilities here. So in this case, we actually completed 2 of them with 1 dice. We get to mark off 2 of those. With good planning, you might be able to do that, but typically anytime a row or a column is finished, you get one of these special abilities. And these do different things like gaining $7, or moving 2 different horses 2 ahead, or moving a single horse 3 ahead, or moving 2 horses back 2, or a single horse back 3, or making a $3 bet on a horse and you don't have to pay for it, or some other actions that we're about to go over. So let's say that this is what was rolled this turn and it's our turn. We are going to, in this case, go to the helmet. So we look at the 7 and we'll just go to the helmet column, which is right here on the horse number 7, and we'll mark this off. Anything here for that horse, it means that you're exempt from not being able to bet on a horse that's past that red line. For example, coming around the home stretch, this horse is past this line. Normally you can't bet on it, but because we have that on a future turn, I'll be able to bet. But remember, if it doesn't come in first, second, or third, I'll just get $1 for this, for being past this line, but I might be able to bet on that horse to make a lot of money in the purse on the way home. Now speaking of betting, let's say this came up again, I could bet if it was past this line, and if you bet, you can still, even though you already bet, you could still bet 1, 2, or 3. You simply would add it to this value, erase this, you'd put your total, and you would subtract it from here like normal. Or let's say it was our turn and that orange 7 came up again and we want to do the jersey. So we mark off the jersey in this. Now this does 2 things. Because we have marked off both the helmet and the jersey, again, at the end of the game, you'll get $5 for every single horse that you've marked both of those off, but this allows you to mark this on any of the horses. So again, this is the one that was rolled, so this is the horse that we would do that to, and you can mark anyone that's not already marked. You know what, we're gonna hedge our bets a little bit. We have some bets on 8. So again, what this means is anytime this horse moves, all of these other ones move 1. And the last possible action, remember, you're only taking 1 action, that's the next player's turn, is to buy a horse, and you would buy the horse, if it's still available, meaning no one has bought it yet, of the one that was rolled that turn. For example, if this was rolled, you wouldn't be able to buy them because somebody else already did. But let's say this was rolled and Cook the Books hasn't been bought yet, you would buy that horse and that's the amount that you would pay for it, 8. And owning a horse is important for 2 main things. Number 1 is, remember, if the horse finishes in first, second, or third, you're gonna get that amount in the purse for which place they actually finished in. Also, each horse that you own will give you an ability. Now this says, hey, when you bet, instead you place a free $1 bet on any horse. It doesn't have to be the one that was actually rolled. And different horses have different abilities that trigger at different times. Like sometimes this one, row your boat, it happens when you do a concession. And when you do that and you complete a horizontal row, you'll gain $2. Or when you take the helmet action, you may place up to $2 bet on the horse that was rolled. Or maybe even at scoring, you gain additional money equal to your bets on unfinished horses past that red line. So they all do different things. The game also comes with sets of cards. This is sort of an apple core there. And you'll play with different sets. You can decide which one to play with. And you can also mix and match sets together as long as you just have one of each number. There's one other place is on your turn, you can cross off one of these, and when you're taking your action, you can make the colored die that you're sort of activating for that turn wild. Also, if you're stuck and all 3 of these are crossed out, for your turn, you can simply just erase one of those, giving you a wild in a future turn. Now let's just say this is what the race looked like. These 2 horses finished first and second. And by the way, you can never move a horse past the finish line with an ability. Basically, they have to only move past this from a roll or a secondary movement, meaning other horses move 1 at the bottom of when other horses move. You can't purposely, on your own, move them past here. It has to be from a normal die movement or a secondary movement. But let's say this is what happened. This one would go 2 like this, 1, 2, and this would come in 3rd place. And since 3 horses have finished, we know that this is going to be the last round of actions. And going back to our original example at the beginning of the video, just showing you again how you finish is the horses that finish, you'll get the money from the purses. each helmet and jersey is going to be worth $5 each. So you have both of those, plus all your bets, plus your leftover money, and whoever has the most at the end is the winner. Now there is a solo version of the game. The solo player Roland AI gets its own board. It will start with $20 and it will start with some opening bets. Now each round you're going to go first and then Roland will take their action. And when it's taking their action, you look at the column and row of these numbers. So we have 2 and we have the red 1. So you look where that is, and this is bet $2 on a lead horse, and that's what Roland will do. So let's say that blue was the lead. They'd bet that and they would deduct the money. Now, if you end up taking an action that has this die, you roll it again to see which color horse this has to do with. And if for some reason you can't do this action, you do the default start action at the bottom of the column. And generally speaking, the 3-column mostly marks horse cards, which is similar to the player taking the jersey action. Column 2 will mostly bet on horses using money, and the 1 column will mostly buy horses. Now, when Roland buys horses, they are not considered to have horse abilities. And at the end of the game, Roland's going to score for the horses he owns that finishes first, second, or third from all the bets, depending on the outcome and the money. And you're basically playing against him. Well, there you have Longshot, the dice game, and as I showed in the overview, it balances both strategy and luck in a quick dice game with a wide range of player accounts. Now, if you'd like to see the final art and components and all the different pledge levels available, you can click the link below me in the description of this video. Now, that will take you directly to the Kickstarter project page, and I'm sure the fine folks at Perplexed would love your support.